Oh, hello, I didn't see you there. Listen, you want to see how the living area of a real rooming house looks like? This property, brand new. I'm probably the first person to actually walk in here after the construction team is gone. So in a way, I'm finding the property about the same situation that a new tenant will find it. So let me show you around a little bit. Over here, we have the living area. Now, this room, it's the only living area in the whole house because again, we maximize these places so people get their own privacy. But from a compliance perspective and for a couple of practical reasons, we do still need a common area. Now, what we do is we kind of diverted the common area. You can see just behind me over there, there's the door to the common backyard where we have things like clotheslines and stuff like that. Although in a different video, I'll show you one of the studios, you'll get to see exactly how living in one of these studios works. But just over here, you got a choice, left or right. So if I look at this side, you're gonna see we have a fully functional kitchen, which is clearly a requirement of Class 1B building and the building code. But also it's important for practicality because the reality is, even though we're in the age of Uber Eats and maybe 2-minute noodles, depending on what you fancy, not everything can be done in the studio. So because of that, we provide an all-electric kitchen set here. You can see there's kind of 4 stoves there. You can see a range hood there, and just behind me you can see a sink. Very importantly, if I just look over here, you see this is where the fridge normally will go. We do put a space for the fridge, even though we don't put fridges in these kitchens. And we do that for one reason, which is we have seen over and over and over again the regulations for rooming houses and minimum standards actually tighten. Almost every year something changes. So what we're doing here is we're doing a little bit of future proofing, I guess. We're putting a space, we're putting all the connections, electrical and the like, that are needed, just in case one day the rules change. We don't need to rip out all the kitchen or have to open holes wherever we need them to. In addition to that, it also allows us to, again, use the space in a better way. We don't need more bench tops or storage over here. There's plenty of those in the studios, but just keep an eye open for that a little bit later in a different video. And then just over here, we have the laundry. We go, as I said, for functionality and durability in most of our builds. So if you turn around and actually have a look at what's here, you'll see the full kind of laundry. We have a washing machine, we have a trough and a little bit of storage at the bottom. Now let me talk about this washing machine because it's an interesting situation. A lot of people put like coin operated machines and stuff like that. And to be honest, we ran a study in some of our properties around putting coin operated machines. Not so much washing machines, but we wanted to provide dryers. But dryers are really expensive because they use a lot of power. So we wanted to provide a mechanism for the residents of our properties to ultimately be able to pay for that consumption. Not to make a profit, just so they can pay for the energy they use if they decide to use those dryers. So the only way of doing that was through coin operated machines, or to be honest, coin operated is a little bit 20th century, it was more of the tap and go style. However, that never quite worked well because once we spoke to tenants about what they want and what they need, we realized they were not interested in a dryer at all. And these machines are, these coin operated machines, they're industrial, so they're really expensive. They're probably 5 or 6 grand each. So it will take a significant amount of use and a significant amount of time for that investment to be recovered. So ultimately, we did what we always do, which is follow the market. And if they didn't want dryers, then it did make no sense at all for us to put dryers. However, some operators put, coin-operated washing machines. However, many of them have been dealt a big blow to that approach because Consumer Affairs, who keeps changing the rules very, very often, has now determined that every rooming house needs to provide an open and kind of free washing machine for every resident, or that is accessible to all residents, which I must admit, it's not that we had some sort of hindsight. It's not that we, could predict the future, at least not any better than anybody else. We were already doing this, which means that for us, we don't need to do any change. Now, we did this because this is cheaper, it's more efficient, and it's also more convenient for the people living here. Again, we're not trying to squeeze every cent out of them. We're trying to provide high quality accommodation at a very affordable price. Now, let me go back to the laundry and show you one more thing. You can see just here that there's another hole in there that I guess in a normal laundry, in a normal house, that's probably where the dryer will go. Over here, we've done it for a very different reason. And it goes back to that future-proofing stuff that I was talking about before. We actually have installation for 2 washing machines. And we do that because depending on where we are and depending on who the residents are that will live here, one washing machine might not quite be enough to actually service the whole house. So if that turns out to be the case, or if the regulation changes and now we need to provide 2 machines, then we do have the installation there and the capacity to grow and the ability to grow, still providing a high quality service for the people here. All we will need to do is just make another investment on a affordable, high quality, house grade washing machine, and we could install it just next door. Now, if you follow me the next video, I'll show you one of the studios. So just keep an eye on it. Feel free to follow us here, and I'll talk to many of you very, very soon.